My family treats me like a glorified babysitter. Now, they're arranging a cruise vacation without including me, while automatically expecting me to remain at home looking after their children. They figured I'd be perfectly fine watching the kids so they could enjoy themselves, even though I, a 25-year-old woman, wasn't asked to join the family cruise at all. Hello, Reddit? I usually just scroll through posts and wonder how families can treat each other so harshly. Turns out, I've got my own family drama that's worth posting about. I could really use some outside perspective because this has been eating at me for the past week. Let me introduce myself. I'm a 25-year-old single software engineer working for a major tech company in Seattle, and it feels like I've become the family pushover. 3 years ago, right after college, I landed what many would consider an ideal job. I've been steadily progressing in my career. The work is challenging and fulfilling, and my colleagues value my contributions. But within my family, I'm just the reliable one, the go-to person whenever someone needs help, especially with watching the kids. Don't get me wrong, I genuinely love my nieces and nephews. I've always stepped up for emergency babysitting, unexpected situations, or whenever anyone required support. Maybe I made a mistake by being too accommodating and willing to lend a hand. Here's some background. My 65-year-old Aunt Jean is retiring after 4 decades as a teacher. She's basically the glue that holds our family together. She remembers every birthday, organizes all the holiday gatherings, and even mails care packages to the younger cousins starting college. She's the reason we all stay connected. She was the one who sent me packages full of my favorite treats and handwritten notes of encouragement during my college finals. She even helped me prepare for my first professional interview. Her retirement is clearly a milestone worth celebrating, and I was excited to be part of it, or I was until I found out I wouldn't be. It all started last week. I just wrapped up an intense work project involving a critical system rollout, which meant long hours and tight deadlines. Even though I was exhausted, I still kept up our weekly family dinners. Since moving into my own place, these have become a tradition, and I rarely skip them no matter how busy I am. I arrived at my parents' house with a bottle of my mom's favorite wine. It seemed like a typical night. My sister Rachel, 32, scrolling on her phone, my dad half paying attention to a game on TV, and my mom, 55, fussing over dinner options. Her 2-year-old was playing with toys on the floor, occasionally calling out to anyone walking by. We chatted about random things, Rachel's toddler's latest achievements, my recent work project, and the usual family gossip. Then, casually, I asked if anyone had ideas for a retirement gift for Aunt Jean. I'd been thinking about something special, maybe even coordinating a group present. That's when Rachel, without looking up from her phone, said, "Oh, we're doing a group gift on the cruise." I froze mid-sentence. What cruise? At first, I thought I'd misheard. Surely I'd know if a big family trip was planned, right? After all, I show up to every birthday, holiday, and gathering. I laughed awkwardly and asked what she meant. She looked up, genuinely confused by my confusion. "We've been planning the cruise for months, you know? All the adults in the family are going," she said. As if I was somehow at fault for not knowing something no one bothered to mention, I turned to my mom for clarification. She gave me that awkward smile she uses when she knows she's in the wrong but won't admit it. She explained it was a cruise to honor Aunt Jean's retirement, including some days in Hawaii. I felt like I was in some hidden camera prank. Everyone else knew about this major trip, but I was completely in the dark. The room suddenly felt stifling and small. My heart raced as I tried to process it. When I asked why no one told me, my mom let out a nervous chuckle and said, "Well, we figured you'd be more useful staying home." "Staying home? Useful for what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even. That's when my cousin Madison, 30, walked in with her twins, providing the perfect opening. "The kids!" She jumped in, like it was the most obvious thing. "It just made sense for you to stay and watch them since you're so great with them." Let me clarify. Between Madison and Rachel, there are 4 kids all under 4. Madison's 1-year-old twins and Rachel's 3 and 2-year-olds. They had somehow decided I'd happily stay behind to care for all of them without ever asking me. I just stared, my food forgotten, in complete disbelief. "So you planned this whole trip without inviting me and just assumed I'd be okay staying home to babysit?" Rachel finally set her phone down and shrugged. "Yeah, pretty much. You don't have kids or anything tying you down, and you're always so dependable. It just made sense." Made sense to who? I looked at my mom, hoping for some defense. We didn't mean to exclude you, sweetie, she said with a weak smile. We just thought you'd understand. You've always been the responsible one. That word responsible hit like a punch. I've heard it my whole life. When I stayed home helping with family events instead of going out with friends, when I adjusted my college classes around Rachel's first baby, when I used my PTO to help Madison after her tough twin pregnancy. Whenever help was needed, I was the one who showed up. Yes, I've handled school pickups, covered emergencies, and even taken half days from work. Like last month when Rachel had a late meeting and I picked up her kids from daycare. Last month, I spent 3 weekends helping Madison baby-proof and organize her house once the twins started crawling. But this was on another level. They made choices about my time and life without even extending the courtesy of asking. My mom tried to smooth it over by promising a souvenir, as if that would fix being treated like unpaid help. She'll get you something nice from Hawaii. Like a trinket could compensate for exclusion. Meanwhile, Rachel acted like I was overreacting. You probably wouldn't enjoy the cruise anyway. Don't you hate big crowds? Remember how uncomfortable you were at Cousin Katie's wedding? Excuse me, I said as my frustration grew. Now they were deciding what I would or wouldn't like. I was recovering from the flu at that wedding 5 years ago. But apparently, one bad experience became their excuse to leave me out of things. I sat there absorbing it all. This wasn't an accident. It was deliberate. They knew I don't use Facebook, so I wasn't in the private group where they'd planned this for months. They could have texted, called, or mentioned it at any of our many family dinners, but they didn't. My mom tried to deflect my hurt feelings. We never meant to upset you. It was just practical. Soon after, I left because I was too emotional to stay. The drive home was a haze. Memories flooded in of all the times I'd sacrificed for them, put their needs first, dropped everything to help, making it hard to focus. Over the days that followed, anger turned into deeper sadness. It wasn't just the trip. It was how my family sees me. As someone without her own needs, dreams, or plans. Just the dependable helper, the one who makes sacrifices when it's convenient for them. I've replayed the conversation in my head countless times. I remembered staying up all night with Rachel during her first child's colic phase. How I helped Madison research twin-friendly strollers and car seats. How I've never missed a kid's birthday or school event. The more I thought about it, the clearer the pattern became. They've always treated me this way. I was so eager to help that I didn't see how often they took advantage. But this time, I'm done. I'm not sure how I'll handle things moving forward, but I'm absolutely not staying home to watch the kids. Not this time. Reddit, what do you think? Has anyone been in a similar spot? I'll update if things progress. First update. Hi everyone. Thanks so much for the supportive comments on my original post. A lot has happened in the past few days, and I need to share how things escalated. After reading your advice, I decided to make one last effort to join the trip. I texted my sister Rachel asking if there was any way I could still go. Her angry response, "Sorry, the cruise is booked solid. We reserved months ago. Adding people now isn't possible." I told her I'd be willing to book my own cabin separately, even fly to Hawaii alone to meet them or stay on a different deck. I was genuinely trying to compromise despite still being hurt. Her reply, "Well, if you came, you'd have to figure out childcare first. Everything's already arranged assuming you'd handle the kids." It hit me then they never planned to include me. The sold-out excuse was just that. An excuse. They'd already decided I'd always be the default caregiver. So I made a decision. I'd already requested time off work, thinking it was for their assumed babysitting duties. Instead of canceling, I used the time for myself. A colleague suggested a beautiful mountain cabin rental, secluded with trails and a hot tub overlooking a valley. I booked it immediately, packed, and left without telling anyone where I was going. The cabin had everything. Peace, nature sounds, no Wi-Fi, limited cell service except emergencies. Of course, my phone blew up the morning they were supposed to leave, before I turned it off completely. "Mom, we're heading out in an hour. When can we drop off the kids?" Rachel, "Hey, we're bringing the car seats to your place. Be ready." Madison, "Are you ignoring us? We have a schedule. This isn't funny." Mom again, "Please pick up, honey. Everyone's waiting." Then the messages turned nasty. Rachel, "This is unbelievably selfish. Our flight's going to be late." Madison, This is completely irresponsible. We trusted you. Mom, I raised you better than this. The best part? I'd never actually agreed to watch the kids. They just assumed because I always had before. Right now, I'm sitting in this peaceful cabin watching the mountain sunset. For the first time in years, I feel truly free. No duties, no demands, no sudden emergencies. But I know this peace is temporary. I haven't turned my phone back on yet, and I can only imagine the chaos waiting. I don't feel guilty for standing up for myself and disrupting their plans. Not for the kids, whose care is ultimately the parents' job. One commenter on my last post said, "They're not mad you said no. They're mad they can't control you anymore." That really resonated. Am I wrong for finally putting myself first? Should I have at least told them I wouldn't be available? It didn't feel mature, but after years of being taken for granted, it seemed like the only way to show I'm serious. I'll be at the cabin another week. I'll deal with whatever comes next after that. Thanks for letting me vent. Reddit. I'll update again once I'm back and have faced the consequences. Second update. Hi Reddit. It's taken me a while to process everything since my last post. Things have gotten even more intense, and I desperately need some neutral opinions. Remember that peaceful cabin? Those 7 days were transformative. Mornings hiking foggy paths, afternoons reading books I'd put off for years, evenings stargazing from the hot tub. For the first time as an adult, I experienced life without being on constant standby. While there, I reflected deeply on my family dynamic. Last December, Rachel needed help moving, so I postponed a major certification exam that could advance my career. No one else could help that weekend, she said. The Christmas before, I spent my entire bonus on thoughtful gifts for all the kids, while my siblings gave me generic gift cards because they were too busy to shop. Earlier last year, Madison said she had no one else for the twins, so I missed my best friend's bachelorette party. The pattern was endless. Their priorities always came before mine. But when I returned home, the real storm hit. Remember how I turned off my phone? I came back to hundreds of voicemails, over 100 texts, and 47 missed calls. Everything from threats to heavy guilt trips. The standout was Madison. "Do you realize we could have called the police for child abandonment? They were supposed to be your responsibility." I couldn't believe what I was reading. How can you abandon something you never agreed to? I called her back immediately to address the absurd threat. When she picked up, I said, "You can't be serious." Her chilling response, "You caused us to cancel the whole trip. Do you know how much money we lost? You were supposed to watch the kids." Supposed to? By who? I shot back. "You never asked, you all decided for me." She ranted about family obligations and how I'd let everyone down. Then she dropped another bombshell. "I've already talked to my lawyer friend. What you did could be seen as reckless." I snapped. "Your lawyer friend should tell you that you need actual agreement before claiming someone neglected a duty. I have no legal authority for medical decisions for your kids, and my apartment isn't even child safe. Have you thought about that?" She hung up. Then came Rachel's barrage. Apparently, the stress meant she only enjoyed part of the cruise and had to leave her kids with a neighbor last minute. She texted, "You've completely ruined Aunt Jean's retirement celebration. Your selfishness impacted everyone's vacation." This hit especially hard because just last month, when I needed a ride home from a minor procedure, no one was available. Madison was busy with her routine. Rachel had a critical hair appointment. I ended up paying for Uber. My mom's approach was quieter but equally manipulative. She called my work phone, assuming I couldn't screen it, her tone dripping with disappointment. "Your sister had to shorten her trip. Madison lost hundreds on non-refundable bookings. Is this really the person you want to be?" I took a deep breath. "Mom, is this about who you want me to be, or who I need to be for myself?" "What does that even mean?" she asked. "It means I'm tired of being the family's free childcare service. None of you ever consider that I have my own life, job, and goals." She stressed, "We're family. Families help each other. Mom, help is given freely. You're talking about obligation. And when was the last time anyone helped me?" The silence spoke volumes. The twist? My sister went public. She's been posting vague, aggressive Facebook statuses about toxic relatives and people who don't value family. The irony, extended family commenting things like, "Some people forget their roots," and "blood is thicker than water." These same people initially excluded me from the cruise. One cousin even emailed a breakdown of all their losses from my selfish actions. Extra daycare, flight changes, cruise fees, and demanded I reimburse them, as if their poor planning made me liable to my actual lawyer friend, not just a buddy, laughed when I showed her. They have zero legal ground to make you pay for plans you never agreed to. None of this holds up. The whole ordeal taught me something bigger than a missed vacation or childcare drama. It's about years of exploiting my generosity, treating my time and energy like something they're entitled to. Whenever I tried planning for myself, some emergency arose. Last spring, I wanted a photography class, but Rachel joined a book club, so I watched the kids those evenings instead. This summer, Madison's husband traveled for work, so I canceled a friend's weekend getaway to help with the twins. To process all this, I've started therapy. My therapist pointed out that their reaction, threats, public shaming, financial demands, are classic signs of losing control over someone they relied on manipulating. The one positive, Aunt Jean. She called yesterday and moved me to tears. I had no clue they excluded you like this. I'd have shut it down immediately if I'd known. Family shouldn't work this way. Even her support can't erase the pain of realizing how they truly see me. Not as a daughter, sister, or cousin, but as a convenience, a backup, a free service. Moving forward, I know I need firm boundaries, but figuring out what that looks like is hard. Part of me wants full no contact, at least for now. Another part feels guilty even considering it. Reddit, any advice? How do you enforce boundaries with family who don't respect the concept? Anyone gone through something similar? Third update. This will be my final update on this situation. Reddit, after the cruise fiasco and all the fallout, I've had to make some difficult but necessary decisions about my family ties going forward. The past few weeks have been profoundly eye-opening. Without constant family demands, my work life has flourished. I'm now leading a major initiative. Last week, my boss pulled me aside. You seem like a new person. Your focus and energy are through the roof. I hadn't realized how much those obligations were holding back my career. Last night, I finally had the tough conversation I'd been avoiding. That I called my mom. Despite everything, I still love her, which made it the hardest. But love alone isn't enough to justify their behavior. She answered eagerly. I'm so glad you called. Sweetie, can we just put this behind us? I don't want to keep arguing. In a steady voice, Mom, this isn't an argument. It's me saying I need significant distance. What do you mean? Her tone shifted to concern. It means I can't keep going like this. I can't stay connected to a family that doesn't respect me. Even though I love you. Every time I push back, it's met with manipulation, blame, and guilt. When she started crying, a tactic that would have crushed me weeks ago. So what, you're just cutting me off? Your sister? Everyone? Yes, if that's what protects my well-being. Things deteriorated from there. She pulled out every card. Financial. Remember who helped with your apartment deposit? Kids? They ask about their auntie every day. Even Dad's health. This stress isn't good for his heart. The worst was dragging up my childhood. I sacrificed everything for you. I gave up my career to raise you. I didn't miss the hypocrisy of using her choices to guilt mine. But I stayed firm. I explained I'd still send birthday cards to the kids. But I need complete space from the adults indefinitely. How long is indefinitely? She pressed at as long as it takes for me to heal and for everyone to see I'm more than the family caregiver. She hung up. Instead of devastation, I felt relief. With my sister and cousin, I took a direct approach. I blocked their numbers and social media. I left all family group chats, unfollowed everyone, and set email filters to divert their messages to a folder I'll check when, if, I'm ready. The change in my daily life is stark. I used to anxiously check my phone constantly, fearing I'd miss a family emergency. Now, my phone is just a phone. I'm reclaiming my weekends. Last Saturday, I joined a local hiking group and conquered a challenging trail I'd always wanted to do. 6 hours to a breathtaking summit with new people, instead of childcare duty. We're planning another hike next weekend. That photography class I mentioned is going amazingly. The instructor says I have a strong sense for composition, and I'm already planning a group exhibit with classmates for next spring. I never would have had the bandwidth before. I've even started dating again. Something nearly impossible when plans were always interrupted by family crises. It's amazing how much more available you seem when you're not constantly canceling. Aunt Jean remains the only family member I stay in touch with. She called this morning, validating everything. She'd gone through something similar with her own sister years ago. Sometimes walking away from those who don't value you, even family, is the bravest choice. My therapist says this isn't just boundaries. It's reclaiming my identity I've spent years defined as the helper, the responsible one, the reliable one. Now, I'm discovering who I am beyond those roles. Yes, I miss them sometimes, like passing my niece's favorite playground or seeing something the kids would love. But then I remember the cruise, willing to exclude me from a family milestone while expecting me to sacrifice my time for their ease, that I never felt able to make long-term plans before. Now, I'm considering part-time grad school with my company's tuition support. My boss is fully behind it. I'm also saving for a solo Europe trip next spring. Impossible when my resources went to family needs. The biggest surprise? My mental health. The constant anxiety is gone. I sleep better, eat healthier, even started regular workouts. You have so much energy when you're not managing everyone else's lives. To those asking in comments. Yes, I'm still thriving at work and just accepted a team lead role on a new project. Colleagues notice, you're smiling more these days. One said, I didn't realize how drained I looked to others. To some, going low/no contact may seem extreme. Maybe it is. But after years of being overlooked, having my needs dismissed, and treated like a utility rather than a person, it feels like the only path. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe someday they'll understand why this was necessary. Maybe not. But for the first time as an adult, I'm choosing myself, and it feels right. Thank you all for the support along the way. Reddit. Your comments and shared experiences gave me the strength to do this. I'm closing this chapter to focus on writing my own story. So this is my last update. // Thank you for reading. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so and turning on notifications for more real-life stories like this.